Hey guys, today I want you to do it for Johnny. It was an awesome day. Johnny was 17. He'd received an A plus on his book report on A Tale of Two Cities, very first thing that morning. And the day just improved in leaps from there. In second period, the adorable new girl to school, Cindy, was totally flirting with him. In his third class, the science teacher used one of his suggestions for a class demonstration and even gave Johnny credit for it, which was awesome. That never happened. The He was having great conversations with his friends all through the day, and they even shared a lot of jokes at lunch. The fact it was pizza day made it even better. After lunch, Johnny managed to stay awake through his least favorite class, geometry, and actually learned a couple of things, understanding them on the first try. Between classes, he caught Cindy in the hallway, and after a quick bit of conversation and negotiation, he managed to get her to agree to a date on Saturday evening. He'd wanted to go out Friday, but she said she had previous plans with some friends from church. Johnny kind of had to restrain himself from rolling his eyes. Religion was something his parents had decided he could choose about himself when he was an adult. Not having been raised with any particular direction on the subject, Johnny didn't really think often about things like eternal implications or reaching an age of accountability. Beyond signing up for the selective service when he turned 18, there really wasn't an age of accountability. Still, he did manage to not show Cindy his disdain for crazy church people and got a smile out of her when they finalized their plans for their outing. He got to his next class, PE, and dressed out for class. A few minutes later, he's playing basketball in the gym and doing really well. His teammates were really supportive, and he could tell that some of the others were even a bit jealous of his skills on the court. After school, Johnny headed out to his friend's red Mustang. Ray was giving Johnny rides to and from school, while Johnny's car was in the paint shop. Johnny's dad would be waiting to give him a ride to work once Johnny got home, grabbed a bite, and did some quick homework. He was even looking forward to work tonight because he'd be on shift with another friend. It was turning out to be an awesome day. Ray had the top down on the car as they drove, and life was good when the garbage truck crushed Ray's car on the passenger side from a blind intersection at 30 miles an hour. Ray was covered with a spray of Johnny's blood and went into shock immediately as the wrecked Mustang stopped scraping across the road and came to rest in someone's front yard. Johnny, crushed by the truck, was critically injured and unconscious. Before help could arrive, Johnny bled out and died, having no more time to consider the implications of his parents' failure to guide him in the arena of decisions with eternal impacts. Johnny could plead ignorance before his creator, but Johnny had become more and more accountable for his decisions, actions, and inaction as he'd grown into his teenage years. So the argument would fall on very powerful but very deaf ears. Johnny would blame his parents. His creator would explain that they, too, would be held accountable for their lack of action, their lack of faith. He would continue to explain that grace had been available to everyone for thousands of years, and Johnny, having grown up in America, really had no excuse for why he had chosen to intentionally not learn more about where he'd come from and what he was supposed to have done with his life. Pausing, the creator looked at his son and asked, "Do you know this man? Is he one of your sheep?" The son sadly replied, "No." It was then explained to Johnny in no uncertain terms that he was now to be cut off forever from the creator he'd previously failed to acknowledge, and that the opportunity for things to end differently now simply did not exist. Johnny screamed in horror as two angels appeared at his sides and forcibly dragged him from the mighty presence he'd just interacted with. As it turns out, for Johnny, it was not such an awesome day after all. At Johnny's funeral, Cindy cried the hardest of all his classmates, even more than poor Ray, who felt unreasonably responsible for the accident. Ray was guilty without cause, but Cindy, having spoken with Johnny's parents, had found out that Johnny was not a Christian and that she would never again get to see the boy that she liked and had planned a date with. She would never get to introduce him to her friends from church and never get to invite him over for Sunday lunch with her parents and grandparents. Cindy was saddest of all because she was guessing quite correctly that Johnny would spend eternity separated from God and from all things that are good. As the funeral director droned on about Johnny being in a better place, Cindy rolled her eyes and resolved right then to get to know Ray and share the gospel with him. Ray needed comfort and reassurance that he did nothing wrong. Cindy could at least sow the seeds of salvation with Ray, and perhaps one day Ray would forgive himself, accept grace, and be able to avoid Johnny's eternal fate. The thought of another person being saved gave her a quick infusion of joy. Two of Cindy's nearby classmates kind of stared weirdly at her, wondering how a brief smile could cross Cindy's face while she'd been crying so much only a moment before. Maybe she was just crazy. Johnny, knowing he would never see her again, had the rest of forever to wonder what they would have talked about on their date. The thought that maybe she was crazy never crossed his mind again. He would also spend hundreds of years wondering about why it was not enough that he was generally just a good person. Confused and isolated for all of eternity, you might say that Johnny was in hell. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by grace through the redemption that came to us by Christ Jesus." Do you know a Johnny? Is there something preventing you from telling him about salvation? Share the gospel at least once today. Do it now. Do it for Johnny.